Sonia Nusselder, better known as Sonia Anubis, is a Dutch musician and the former guitarist of Burning Witches. Of course, leaving Burning Witches was not the end of Sonia's music career, and on the contrary, she immediately founded Cobra Spell, with whom she has been releasing music since 2019, the latest one being Anthems of the Night, their latest EP, for which 2 videos are already available on YouTube. And that's without mentioning Sonia's role in death metal bands like Crypta or her collaborations with bands like Echoside. So there is no question that Sonia is a very talented musician, and I am extremely happy to be joined by her today. So Sonia, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm looking forward to it.
How did you handle the last couple of years?
Honestly, it was very easy for me to handle this. Most certainly because a lot of the things that I do are at home. So I don't need to be traveling around to write music. This is nice for me. Of course, as a musician, I love touring. This is something that I couldn't do. This was the frustrating part of it. But overall, the things that I do besides playing shows, like giving guitar lessons, writing music, recording my videos, everything I can do in my own room. It worked fine. Of course, I started missing a lot, like the social side of being a musician, standing in front of an audience. That's the most beautiful thing of being a musician, in my opinion, is traveling the world, and I'm glad that the situation is getting a lot better now.
During and after the pandemic, I've been talking with a number of musicians about how they were affected. Some of them are very social people, and the isolation did not make them very creative, didn't give them energy to create. Whereas others, like I was recently speaking with another fellow Dutch person, Arjen Lucassen, he said, listen, I love to be alone. So I can write without anybody. I don't need to see anybody. I've been in lockdown, I think he said, for the last 20 years. So I am curious about how you are affected by that lack of people.
Honestly, I'm also a little bit like Arjen. Maybe I can handle myself on my own pretty easily. I like to work on my own way, in my own little zone. I have my room here with my stuff, my guitars. I'm not alone with my guitars, but yeah, of course. I mean, I'm not antisocial or anything. I like hanging around, but I don't have the huge need to have people around me all the time. I can do very well on my own. But definitely it start missing anyway. Being in a festival and seeing people with the same taste, it's kind of also a little bit nostalgic of like, oh, that time that we could like share a drink together or anything. But I've been doing pretty well, to be honest. It's fine for me.
When I was preparing the interview and I write the introduction and everything, I was going to mention that you were also in Crypta, but then I just saw they announced 6 days ago or something that you had an amicable split, that you decided to no longer continue with them. What happened?
Honestly, I'm so happy that this is done in the way that we did it. We did it very light, and we all agreed that it's the best for us all, this decision. I took this decision mainly because I have just different priorities. I really want to focus myself on my band Cobra Spell, which is the band I founded from the beginning. And I really feel like I can lose my own creativity there and be my own self 100%. Something I really had with Crypta in the beginning, but it's very hard to give yourself 100% for two different bands. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, most certainly when you're writing music. Both bands are really writing music a lot. I am writing a lot of music for Cobra Spell. I was writing a lot of music for Crypta, but at a certain point, it just feels like I'm really pushing myself to a whole new level. And I always did as a musician. I always push myself a lot, but at this point, I feel like, okay, I should really try to choose for myself what is really making me happy. And in this case, what is really making me happy is writing music for Cobra Spell and pushing that band forward. So this was just like that. I mean, I love these girls. I will keep supporting Crypta. They're still like my friends. They're still on my on my phone list. I'm not gonna be any sketchy or we're not gonna be mean about it. We're just gonna handle it the nice way, and I'm glad that it went this way, really.
Yeah, but it's also probably difficult because to have to devote yourself to two bands that sound so differently as they do, and also that are geographically quite separate. I mean, Crypta is based in Brazil, correct?
Yeah, and that's very hard too, to handle that distance. I mean, we worked very easily even in the distance. We are able to write music together. We are able to share our ideas, though still there's always gonna be differences if you're far away from each other. And that's just normal. That's very normal, you know. So I'm someone living in the Netherlands. They're living all the way in Brazil, where the situation is completely different. And I think the best is that I can just focus on a band that I feel comfortable in, together with members that have the same mentality, and they also need a guitar player that is at the same level as they are, you know, someone that has in the same mentality, and I owe them that.
I saw that you mentioned on your Instagram on the last, probably the last or the second to last thing that you wrote, and I'm only asking it because you published it publicly. I mean, that it had been a very difficult period for you lately. Is it connected to the departure of Crypta or something? And if it's something else, obviously you don't need to say anything personal.
It's a combination of things. Of course, taking decisions is always hard, because I see Crypta as also a child. For me, it was also a child. I was there from the beginning. I wrote a big part, like, from the music that is still there, and I am not able to enjoy what is coming from that album. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna be playing the shows. It's a huge sacrifice, and I think not many people do realize that it's not as easy as it seems. And I am getting kind of feeling like I'm going away empty-handed, though I don't want to see it that way, because I know that I have a lot of other things coming. Do if I choose this decision, and I know and otherwise I wouldn't take this decision if I would be left with nothing other than nothing. So I know that I made this decision so I can focus myself on something that really does make me happy, and is booking shows for Cobra Spell and getting the engine running in this band. And yeah, it's hard, and it's very hard because, of course, I've been there before. I've been in a band before in which I also was the person leaving, and this is gonna leave people saying like, she's gonna leave her next band again. She's gonna like leave Cobra Spell now. And you know, people start saying this kind of stuff, and you know, people have to realize that I'm a young person. I am learning a lot. I am working extremely hard for every single thing that I do, trying to find my position and trying to find where I fit in. And the only way to find it out is to really try it and do it. And at that time, Crypta seemed like something very right for me, and it was. I felt completely in place there. It was like a process of catharsis, as I explained in my departure. I really felt like writing death metal at the time that I joined Crypta felt like something very good for me at that time. At the moment, I don't feel like it's good for me anymore. So I prefer to do something that focuses more on 100% my songwriting. For example, Cobra Spell, I can lose my own creativity way more right now. So that's what I really aim to do. And yeah, it's what it is.
Were you afraid of that possibility that because you left one band and now left another, that, as you said, that can create a bad reputation? And it's interesting that you say it, because I don't think I had thought about it in those terms, especially because since I've never been in a touring band, I always see people leaving their jobs and moving to a different job as a completely normal thing. It's just like a part of normal life. But when you put it into bands, bands are a bit different in the sense that if you spent 5 minutes in Metallica 20 years ago, you will be answering questions about those 5 minutes for the rest of your life.
And I still have to answer questions about the band that I've been in 2 years. Like, it's gonna still happen. I don't mind. It's fine. I think people are. It's okay if they think that. You know, I know that I really tried my best. So I know that I gave my 100% for every single band that I've been in, and I know that I'm young, and I know that I'm still searching, and I feel like I found my place right now. But yeah, I mean, right now I really feel like it is my place, and I think it's gonna be my place for the future. I mean, it's the band that I founded, a band where I have full creative freedom. To be honest, I think that might be the right place for me.
Before I move to Cobra Spell, there is one question that I had that is not so much about Burning Witches, but about your experience with these two bands and their makeup. Let me explain what I mean. When you left Burning Witches, they made a reference to the challenge of being an all-female band. Let me read it for you. They said, "Indeed, to keep a girl band together is more difficult than we thought.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody wanted to sign us as a band with the argument that woman bands do not last. Well, it seems that curse
Oh,
is real." So I'm sure that they meant it as a joke, but or maybe they didn't. I don't know.
it was
Oh,
I mean, yeah, I mean they're kind of like that.
but I
But
was curious in the sense of, have you felt that being a woman or being a woman in an all-female band has affected or plays a role in how people perceive you as a musician?
being a woman does take in the metal scene is kind of maybe different than being a man. You know, it's obvious that if you're a band full of women, it takes a lot of attention because it's unique. It's something that is not often seen. So it's something that a lot of people um, try to use in their own advantage to gain like popularity. Though I believe it's actually a good thing that there is women coming together to play, because in a scene where there is so little women, it's actually my goal if I work with other women would be like I want to try to gain awareness on, you know, we can do this too.
You've mentioned that some, precisely because of how rare they are, some women or even some media or some record company are going to first say female band before they actually say something about the band itself. Like you try to direct the attention to their gender. Is that something that bothered you?
It doesn't bother me actually. And this is the thing I try to say. Some people say that they think this is, oh, they just want to do it for the attention. They just do it to gain popularity. But it is a fact that it gains popularity because it's unique. Though that's why we should spread awareness about it. There should be more female role models to inspire, hopefully, younger girls or women to grab the guitar and don't feel intimidated in a world that is just a lot more men. In metal, it's a fact that there's a lot more men. It can be a lot of intimidating when you play the guitar for the first time and there is already like 10 people commenting, hey, you should try to tune your guitar or you should try to use the metronome. You know, I used to get those comments when I started playing the guitar and I was like, Jesus, I just started playing, like, please. And when a guy does it, then it was like less attention, you know. And this is something we're kind of forced to deal with, and then you're kind of seen as like an attention seeker, even though you just want to play around and do your thing. And that's kind of painful reality that I hope will change, but I don't expect it to change in a very long time. But it's good that there is a lot of female musicians around to hopefully try to bring more female musicians, to inspire more female musicians out there to do their own thing and don't be afraid of what people have to say about it. Yeah, the thing that Burning Witches said about like this is the
Basically, that there is the rumor that there is a curse that female bands are difficult to deal with. I don't know.
I completely not agree with that. You cannot label women all for one mistake. That's so women unfriendly to me. Or a mistake, I mean, to say what they see as something bad, you know, they see as something bad that I left the band. You cannot say that all women have this curse because that's very women unfriendly to me. Not everyone has that same whatever they see. I don't know if you can understand me, you know.
No, I fully understand that they're basically confirming a negative stereotype.
Yeah.
Uh, but I honestly, when I read it, at least I don't have any inside knowledge. But when I read it on Facebook, I sincerely thought it was a joke. But maybe it wasn't. You know them better than me, so but I do not know. In any case, after you left Burning Witches, you did something very challenging. Besides all the challenges that you have, which is that you move away from a recognized brand, right? So you say Burning Witches, it means something. At that time, you said Sonia Anubis probably didn't mean much. But you've certainly worked very hard on on that personal brand of yourself. You have a personal Instagram with over 100,000 followers, 55,000 on YouTube, and that's not counting Cobra Spell's presence on social media. The latest video, as I mentioned, amassed over 500,000 views already, so that's 500,000. It's a really incredible achievement for a band that I think is first unsigned and second doesn't even have an entire album yet. What has been the most difficult part of kind of going out of on your own?
It is scary, but I have confidence in what I'm doing, and this pulls me a lot forward into working towards my dream. I have a dream. I learned from the experiences that I've had in the past. I learned a lot playing in every single band that I've played in before, and this way I work myself up towards a place that I feel comfortable in working with the experience that I have from my previous band. So anything that I did was good for me at the time, but then I feel like I sometimes have to move forward because I feel like the band might deserve something better, something different. I mean, not even better, but someone that can be committed to what they want. And at this certain moments, I had to make certain decisions. And this is not something that I'm trying to like steal or anything. Like I'm not joining bands just to gain something and then leave. That's never has been my purpose. I always did it because I just love playing. I love playing music. I love sharing it with like-minded people. It just goes that way that I do something and then I realize that, okay, so this is how it works. Maybe that's not really my thing, so I should just like move forward. And now I'm at the point that I realized that the best thing for me is to focus on what I want to do. So what is the concept, creating my own concept instead of being part of a concept that has already been established, such as when I joined Burning Witches, the concept was already established. The band idea was established, the name was there, the music is there, the hierarchy of the members is there. So you just join there and you have to play the music, that's all. So for me, felt like, I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to feel like a session musician or a live musician. I just want to do my thing. So that's why I left and joined Crypta. In Crypta, I was a democratic structure in the band. I was able to start involve myself into the process, which seemed at the time like something amazing because I've never was able to do that. So I was like, wow, I can start write music together and we can like come up with a name, and they're just great girls, talented musicians that are like-minded and have the same taste. Hell yeah. And it was awesome process. I had a very nice time with these girls. We hanged out. We had a lot of lovely times the last 2 or 3 years. I don't know anymore. But I felt like, okay, I know what my passions are. I think the best is just to do what Sonia Anubis wants to do. And what is that? What do you want to do? And it's like, I want to create my own music at all completely without feeling any kind of boundaries, without feeling any kind of limitations, because of course in a band with a democracy, Crypta, there will always be a moment in which you have to compromise, and that's okay, that's fine. It's fine because it's a possibility to work in a band. Though I prefer to do my own thing without limitations. So for that, I have to step back and respect the band and let them go and do their own thing. And I totally think it's the best.
Tell me a little bit about the formation of Cobra Spell. It's definitely different from Crypta. So it was interesting for me to see that you go from death metal to this more traditional heavy metal with I would say that it has like an 80s flavor to it. Yeah. And you now mentioned that it is your band first and foremost. Tell me a little bit about how it came together. Also, I saw that you didn't break really, but you didn't go for in this case, you have male vocals in particular. You have an Italian singer, I forgot his name right now, Alex, I think it is.
Alex Panza. Yeah, so we have Alex Panza on vocals. He's from Italy. And we have Angelina Vehera on the bass. She's a Ukrainian bass player living here in the Netherlands. She's my very best friend. I love her. We have guitar player Esme van Sinderen, Dutch guitar player. And we have Leonard Kokoli on drums. And last with me on the guitar. And so we are a 5-piece. And yeah, that's Cobra Spell.
Did you start Cobra Spell while you still were in Burning Witches, and you started to recruit musicians, or how did that work?
I used Cobra Spell as a side project to be able to lose the own creativity that I could not lose in other bands that I was in. So I was already had the mind of like, I want to do my own thing, but I don't want to affect the bands that I'm in. So I will just do that as a side project. And I started realizing, like after releasing the first EP, Love Venom, which was done like also independently, very do it yourself, like recorded things from home and very like crafted. It was pretty much like a fun thing to do. Like I didn't even know if it was gonna get something, because seriously, it was the first songs that I've ever wrote in my life, like the first compositions that I've ever made. And just to see how people reacted to it, like the vinyls getting sold out before the release and everything, it was very amazing to me. I just never expected that to happen. That's why when something started like changing, was like, maybe I should start taking Cobra Spell a little bit more seriously. Maybe there is like some kind of potential in this. Maybe I can do more than what I did with Love Venom. So I just slowly started writing more music. I wrote like for an album with Cobra Spell, though it's taken a long time, like 2 years before we released Anthems of the Night. I wanted to just focus on the stable bands that I was in, like Crypta, and Cobra Spell like would be like the side project that's, if I ever have some time left, I will try to fit it in. But unfortunately, that would be impossible with the schedule that I would have with the other bands. So it was just very like heartbreaking. But yeah, now I made the choice, and I see I made kind of the choice when I see also how the reaction was on Anthems of the Night, which is in Addicted to the Night, when we released our first single, it was truly insane, in my opinion. I didn't really expect people to like it that much either. It was I'm very surprised, even though we are independent, and yeah, it just pushes me forward if I feel like it's working, and I feel like it's something that I can feel like I'm proud of, that like I'm really put my energy and I try to give everything I can for it. Like I really worked into getting the sound that I wanted, into the production and everything. When that has happened the way I wanted, it feels very fulfilling. And with Cobra Spell, this is the case because I really took the time. We don't have the stress of deadlines with the label or anything. We could do it and take the time to really craft something that we're proud of, and that's why I'm so happy to do this.
How did you get started into heavy metal, even before you picked up a guitar for yourself?
Well, I started when I was 14 years old, starting with the bass guitar, not the guitar. I was really inspired by Kiss, this heavy rock, heavy band from 70s with makeup.
I know Kiss.
Yeah, I love Kiss. I was looking at the lives from this band and thinking, damn, I want to be as cool as they are. Like, I want to be as cool as Gene Simmons with his bass guitar. Like, he was doing those huge slides. And I just wanted to do those slides on the guitar too. Just like that was like the first fascinating thing to me. So I started playing the bass guitar, and then 2 years later, my music taste started evolving a lot more. I started discovering a lot more bands. There was more than just Kiss. There was Wasp, Alice Cooper, and then I started realizing there's also thrash metal, and there's also black metal and death metal, and so many different styles that I was like, this is like a kid in a candy store. There's so many different things in metal, and that's why you might have seen me in so many different styles, is because I really love a lot in metal music, not only heavy rock or 80s music, but also like death metal or black metal or thrash metal. I have my passion for every single style. But yes, so that's kind of how it started evolving. I started also playing the guitar besides it, but I was more like self-taught. I was just doing it for fun. Like I would call myself like a bedroom guitar player, only playing just at home, like some songs. So yeah, the change to go from bass to guitar started a lot later. I think like when I was 18 years old, just like when I played once a show live with a thrash metal band named Toxic. And that kind of like inspired me to like switch to the guitar, because I felt like, wow, this feels like more of my instrument. Felt like it fits me better, my personality. And I consider myself more of a melodic person, so that's why I did the change. And with melody, your bass can be melodic too, but the bass is very like rooted into the rhythm.
And as a guitarist, you mentioned that for bass, Gene Simmons was to an extent an influence, at least in seeing him do the slides. For the guitars, I always thought the music of Burning Witches reminded me quite a bit of Judas, people like K.K. Downing and his songwriting style. What was the guitar player that perhaps inspired you, if maybe there were none, but what kind of inspired you as a musician in particular?
I have many guitar players that inspire me. too many I could name, but I think the ones that always are in my list of the biggest influences would be Marty Freeman, Tony McAlpine, Yngwie Malmsteen, Jason Becker, Vinnie Vincent, Ace Frehley. Yeah, the list goes on truly. I probably leave off so many great guitar players that have inspired me with what I do. I also certainly like not only guitar players, but also frontmans. I'm really inspired by Blackie Lawless. You know, he's a very amazing performer back in the 80s, you know, and 90s. Like he used to be an amazing performer, and I just really like performers too. I love Kiss because they're so energetic with their music, but also with their show. And I always had like also a passion for the show that bands give. And this is also why I chose to just give priority to Cobra Spell at this point, because I really want to do what was my main dream when I started listening to music, which was like play a band that doesn't have any kind of boundaries on expression and on expression of music. And this is Cobra Spell, like that safe place that I always looked for, in which I just don't have rules. Like I just can do whatever the hell I want, and everyone feels like-minded on this. So
and you mentioned that you have been working already for a couple of years now on the debut album, proper full-length album of Cobra Spell.
yeah, so the reason why we released an EP instead of an album, even though we have enough material, is because we believe that it's better to do quality over quantity. Aside of that, you know, as mentioned, we are an independent band, and I wanted to deliver nothing but the best with what we can do, with what we're able to finance, with what we're able to deliver, and being able to deliver that in the best way possible so people can really understand the identity of the band and can grasp the sound on the best production I can deliver. And this is something that we luckily did together with crowdfunding, though we would the most realistic thing for us to do was to release an EP, a 4-track EP, because an album would be way too expensive to do what we want to do. So, I mean, we wanted to do 2 music videos, which what we did, and it's like a huge expense. And yeah, so to do it right is the best way we can do is release an EP, and that's what we did. And maybe in the future, if there is, I mean, there's been labels that had interest, but if there is a label that offers something that is better than what we can do independently, then we'll consider. But at the moment, we will just see how it's going and do it ourselves until there comes something better. Maybe that means an album in the future. Maybe that means a 3rd EP. I cannot promise anything, but there is material. I just want to like take the time to see what is the best for the band. We do have a lot of live shows coming up. We have a Spain tour that starts in 2 weeks. We're going to tour with Ross the Boss, and Portugal too. So Spain and Portugal, one in Portugal. We have also a Europe tour with Enforcer and Evil Invaders next month, May. And we're going to pass a lot through Germany, Austria, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Poland. And we have also a couple of shows here and there over Europe, some festivals coming and more to be announced.
I have one more question. Why Anubis?
This is something that I haven't had that question in quite a long time, by the way. It's been a while that I have had that question. But the reason why is because when I was little, I used to have a big passion for Egyptian mythology. I used to really read a lot of books. I still have a lot of them in my shelf. I used to really like it, and I thought, no, I need something else than my name, because my second name gets a lot of times misspelled. Nusolder is like very hard to spell for people that are not used to that name. But yes, I wanted something more simple. I wanted something that could envision my personality somehow. I don't know why I chose for Anubis, and I was like, yeah, Anubis is like the god of mummification and afterlife. And I mean, it seemed like only cool to me. I was like, Sonia Anubis, that's it. It's kind of like it was kind of like a very spontaneous choice. You know, I also had in the beginning like, oh, maybe Sonia Osiris, but then I realized, I don't know, Sonia Anubis.
Anubis is way more metal.
I loved it. I love the history, the story behind it. It's also like the Horus eyes that I wear when I'm playing a show. It's like some kind of thing that I started doing, well, on my first shows ever. And I've been doing it like some kind of ritual, and it gives me like this kind of confidence. And the meaning of it is like protection somehow. So I like to do it. Sometimes there's not even a reason why. I just thought, like, I'm just gonna do that, and that's it.
Sonia, thank you so much for your time. I really had fun speaking with you, and I look forward to seeing you live next time that you play here in the Netherlands, which hopefully will be in May or June or something along those lines.
Yeah, thank you for your questions and interview and having me here, and for everyone listening here. So.
Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye.